The government is defending its record on housing the homeless after figures show that it's taking twice as long to find places for those desperately in need compared to 6 months ago. People who've had to resort to living in cars now have to wait on average 217 days or 7 months to be housed compared to just over 100 days at the end of last year. That's according to figures obtained by the Labour Party. Here's our political reporter, May Heron.
The government has refused to call it a housing crisis, but last week Social Housing Minister Paula Bennett said she accepted the problem of the chronically homeless had got worse under its watch. Today, the Prime Minister, John Key, acknowledges there's been an increase in the number of people without a home.
The rise in both rents and house prices, where they've had a more pronounced impact have been on the most vulnerable, and that's why we've been responding with more money in more places.
Mr Key warns the new figures provided to Labour from written parliamentary questions give an inaccurate picture because people are often given emergency housing while they're waiting for permanent housing.
In the first instance, for someone that's in a very distressed position, a car or a tent, homeless position, the very first thing is getting a roof over their head. It may not be their permanent solution, but we need to act as quickly as we practically can. I think we've been filling that response pretty quickly, so that would be a more accurate way of looking at it, I think.
However, Labour leader Andrew Little says it's disgraceful people are spending months and months without a permanent home.
For some people who move from being in a house to being homeless, that can happen reasonably quickly. There's always going to be a bit of a lag between when they then get to a stable home. That should be a matter of kind of days and weeks. It shouldn't be months and months and months.
The Green Party co-leader Matiria Ture says every single day that someone has to live in a car or tent is dire.
They are still having to get their kids off to school every day and make sure that they're well fed and got everything that they need. Many of these families are working, so are themselves having to get to work and coming home, to miserable conditions.
Both parties attribute the longer delay in finding people a house to the government's plans to sell over 2,000 state-owned properties across the country. Mr Little says the government just doesn't care.
What we've had as a government for the last year or 18 months has been telling everybody, yes, we're onto it, we're doing stuff about it. Whatever it is that they're doing isn't working. And I think we've got to get past the fine words of ministers and just accept there is now an even greater crisis when it comes to the seriously homeless, and more needs to be done, and urgently.
The government says Housing New Zealand has on average 15 new places and an average of 150 people housed each week. From Parliament for Checkpoint, May Heron.